So now we're here in historic Sinking Springs Cemetery in Abington. This is right up the road from the house I was just showing you. And this cemetery is quite old. The earliest marker dates to 1776, right at the birth of our nation. So I'm just gonna kind of pan and let you see what the cemetery looks like. Quite large, a lot of, you can see most of the markers are very old, though the cemetery is still active. There are still a few burials that happen in here, but not very many at this point. But the reason, of course, that we're here is to visit the graves of Stephen Alonzo Jackson and his wife Mary, who at one point they lived in the house I just showed you, and their son was, of course, Ernest Alonzo Jackson, who died on the Vestris along with his wife Jeanette and son Carrie. And I'm going to show you Stephen's headstone here because it's quite unique. It really stands out. So let's take a look, and you can see at the top the unique skull and crossbones design, the star pattern, the Latin letters, and there's crossed swords and two crossed keys. And these unusual patterns are because Stephen Alonzo Jackson founded the Sigma Kappa fraternity during his time at the University of Virginia in Charlottesville. And this made him quite a prominent figure in the history of the university, which, you know, of course, is a very noted historical university. And Stephen Alonzo died in 1892, and in March of 1992, the town of Abington actually even held a Stephen Alonzo Centennial Day in his memory. And the local historical society actually told me that people have come all the way from Charlottesville, which is about a 6-hour drive from Abington, just to visit his grave. Members of the Sigma Kappa fraternity, probably, just coming to pay their respects. So quite a noted individual. And over beside him, his wife's grave is quite worn, but that's Mary Ernest Jackson. She's actually buried under the last name of Davidson, which was her second husband's name. But below her name, and you probably can't see it very well because it's worn, but it says wife of S. Alonzo Jackson, born in Brook Hall, Virginia, January 7th, 1850, and died in Radford, Virginia, July 9th, 1937. And so she's buried under Davidson, but actually the bottom of the marker, the same as Stephen's, is Jackson. So Brook Hall is, I mentioned that earlier, that's the historical home in Glade Spring, Virginia, which is a neighboring town to Abington. And in addition, you know, to Mary being born there, her son Ernest Alonzo was also born there. So this is a neat little family plot. You can see here, those are the only two graves in it, and there is no mention of the Vestris, no mention of EA or Jeanette or Carrie. And these are the only members of the Jackson family buried in this particular cemetery. The children, you know, they had 6 children. The children are all scattered throughout the United States. The last one actually died in 2005 at the age of 97. And one of the sons also became a Baptist missionary to Brazil, just like his parents. and he's buried in Texas. He died in 1996, and his grave marker in Texas actually does have an inscription on it mentioning that his parents were lost at sea in the Vestris, but it gives the incorrect date. It says November 10th, 1928 rather than November 12th. But that's really, as far as I know, the only sort of memorial to the Jacksons who died on the Vestris. One of the daughters actually lived to be in her 90s. She died in 1999, and her wish was to have her ashes scattered over the coordinates in the ocean where it's believed the Vestris sank, and so that was carried out. And so that really summarizes Abington's link to the Vestris. If you've found it interesting and want to learn more, I highly recommend you get a copy of Clint Olivier's book called Last Dance of the Vestris. I'm going to actually show you my copy. Highly recommend that book. It's available on Amazon pretty cheaply. I think it goes for maybe $11.99. The price is very reasonable. Very good read. The Jacksons are mentioned in it, of course, as well as a number of other interesting stories related to the shipwreck. Very underappreciated tragedy that definitely deserves to be remembered. So if you've liked this video, if you like maritime history or history in general, there's a lot of people who just like visiting historical graves, then I would encourage you to join Titanic International Society. You can find out how by visiting our website at www.titanicinternationalsociety.org, and it'll tell you how to join. You can also find us on Twitter at Society Titanic, and we also have an Instagram page, Titanic International, and I think you would find it very enjoyable if this is something you're into. It would be very worth your time. We encourage our members to get involved. If you live in a town that has a link to the Titanic or any shipwreck or any type of maritime history, you could go out, film a video, send it to us. We'll put it on our YouTube page. We encourage our members to be a part of the society. Not, it's more than just getting a quarterly journal, though of course you do get a very, very good journal 4 times a year called Voyage. And actually, this past winter, we did a 90th anniversary issue of Voyage that was completely dedicated to telling the story of the Vestris for the 90th anniversary. And so I'm going to sign off for now. I hope you've enjoyed hearing a little bit about the Jackson family and the tragedy that they endured. And stay tuned for more videos from Titanic International Society. Thanks.